Her father had cut out the bit of his brain that made him think, feel and speak. As she descended towards Earth, she wiped away the tears. She couldn't waste her time getting upset. She had to think of a way to rescue Justin and to give him his senses back. Fortunately, she was a bright girl. She remembered that her father kept the spare parts of the brains he had operated on in jars on the mantelpiece. These were kept alive with a specially devised fluid of his own creation. While her father was out being cruel to foxes, Laura entered the living room and picked up the jars and read their labels. Fortunately, she found the bit of Justin's brain clearly labelled in a jar next to an Eiffel Tower paperweight. "Gotcha!" she cried. In her father's library, she pulled out a pile of books on brain surgery from the shelves and took them to her room. Night and day, she practiced surgical technique on her dollies and teddy bears. Several dictionaries had to be used for her to understand the longer words in the books. After a week of practice, she thought she had got the hang of brain surgery, more or less. She collected a glass jar and picked up a case of surgical instruments and loaded it into the air balloon. Then it struck her. She wouldn't be able to operate on Justin while he was the son, and she wouldn't be able to operate on him if she was the son. She flicked through the medical book again. Since she was so intelligent, she understood her limitations and realised that she wouldn't be quite up to performing the operation anyway. Not at least for another year. But she wasn't downhearted. She had already come up with an alternative plan. The doctor was in the living room, bending down, watering the cheese plant, when Laura ran in and jabbed a hypodermic needle up his bottom and ran out again. "Ah!" he screamed. Understandably angry, he ran after her. She sprinted into the garden and jumped into the air balloon. Her father followed suit and instantly fell asleep. When the doctor woke up, he wondered why he was so hot, but when he saw all the planets and that he had no arms or legs, he realised very soon what had happened. Justin was laid on an asteroid near the air balloon, sharing its force shield. The doctor watched in horror as Laura drew chalk marks on Justin's forehead. He said, "What are you doing, you vile little child?" "Surgery, Daddy." "You can't do that. It takes years and years of training to do that sort of operation." "But I'm very clever, Daddy." "I don't care how clever you are. Put the hat on, Justin. I want to be human." "It would take more than a hat to make you human," said Laura. "Put the hat on, Justin." "Only if you do the operation." "What?" "Otherwise, you'll stay in space forever." "I don't believe you. You wouldn't let your father stay out here for all eternity." "Wouldn't I, Daddy?" "I don't respond to threats." "Could you keep it down?" said Laura. "I am trying to concentrate." Appalled, the doctor watched Laura get out the scalpel and hold it near Justin's forehead. Okay, I'll do it. Just take the hat off me." Laura cast out her fishing line and hooked up the hat and put it on her own head and transformed into the sun. Whistling, the doctor put the tools back in the briefcase and placed it in the rocket. Then he said, "Time to take off your hat, Laura. We're going home." "What, Daddy?" said Laura. "You didn't really think I would keep my side of the bargain, did you? We need him to be the sun." "But I trusted you." "You'll learn." The doctor released the fishing line and swung it towards the hat on Laura's head, but suddenly she burnt brightly and turned the line into ashes. "What's the meaning of this?" said the doctor. "I'm not letting you take the hat off me. I will always burn too brightly for that. If you don't operate on Justin, I will never see you again. All you will see of me will be in the sky, and it will be the sun." "You refuse to live with me? You can't let your father live all alone." "Yes, I can." Although the doctor was not a nice man, he loved his daughter dearly and had to plead defeat. He got his surgical tools ready and said it would be cruel to give Justin back his feelings. He hated being the son. "We'll think of something, Daddy," said Laura. Back on Earth, Justin used his regained voice on protest marches. "Ban the bomb and cancel world debt," he cried. The doctor, to please his daughter, tried to become nicer, but not much. A rota was organised by Laura so that the people in her town would take shifts at being the sun. At first, this arrangement did not prove practical. Halfway during a murder trial, the High Court judge looked at his watch on a chain and cried, "Oh, good Lord! Is that the time? Why, it's my turn again. I'm late. Case dismissed." When the judge went into space in the air balloon, it wasn't just the milkman who was angry, but everyone in the town who didn't get their milk delivered, because he was stuck up there as the sun long after his shift had ended. Gradually, the rota was spread to cover the whole country so that people had to be the sun less often. Then more and more countries in the world were involved, and people were only required to be the sun for 20 minutes a year. Eventually, the burden of keeping the Earth alive wasn't very heavy at all.